like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just moved it again.
I moved it?
Yeah. Oh, that's okay then. I mean, you did move.
I know I did. Does it look okay?
Yeah.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
Oh, we should make sure that just make sure we're both talking into this guy. All right.
Okay. I'm going to have to sit up then.
He's got back problems.
Don't like it.
Yeah. All right. And action. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Peak and Pit podcast with me, your host, Diana, and your least favorite guest.
Me, Tyler.
Hey.
What's up?
Well, let's just dive into the deep end, shall we? What's your pit of the week? We can end on a high.
Oh, man. Why did I think we did this at the end? Is it always in the beginning? It's been a minute.
He has dementia at 30 years old, folks. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
All right, my pit of the week. It's a current pit, okay? Maybe not the pit of the week, but it's the pit of the moment, and that is that I'm annoyed of stuff being expensive, and that's where I'm at. That's me. You know, I'm turning into the guy from the TikTok that says he wants to get a horse and buggy. That's how I feel at the moment. It's not. We are very lucky. We are very blessed. You know, we're doing great, but sometimes it's annoying.
Yeah. I would say I was trying to think of something last week, but that just reminds me of what I was literally just dealing with.
What?
Which is the pit is just annoyance at certain companies. Basically something we got, and the company tells us one thing. The salesman's like, "Oh, you're going to get all these benefits, whatever else." He gets fired. We go back to the company. They're like, "Oh, sorry, he couldn't make those promises, but we will do X, Y, and Z." And then we're like, "Okay, that's fine. We'll take that." And then now 2 months later, I go back and I'm like, "This is not what you said." And they're like, "Oh, yep. Turns out we changed the contract on you. You know, bet on me for not actually reading, the fine detail and everything else." But what a slimy way to do business, of trying to get a fast one by you, changing the contract after, different from what they've told you in person.
Yeah, we basically agreed to this. We're talking about the same thing, by the way, everyone. But we agreed to this thing, and then when we called to have everything be all set up, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we let him go. That's not how it is anymore."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Okay, well, but that's what we agreed to." And
Just
so
a bad company, policy process, whatever, of you have a bad employee and then you make his or just your consumer pay for their mistakes, which is not the answer.
we're starting out on such a horrible, sad, bad, terribly not good note. I'm so sorry. We're going to flip it around right now, this instant.
Yeah, what's your peak?
I was going to say, hit me with your peak.
I need another second.
Okay, well, my peak is easy. So this weekend we celebrated our marriage, wedding, nuptials, life together. He put a ring on it forever. He's stuck, can't get out. We celebrated that, and what I liked about it was I felt like I was on a vacation for a minute. Like, we did what we do when we go on, because when we go on vacation, we go all out. Like, we don't generally, I mean, we're smart, but we do what we want, we don't say no. And we went to this really cool cocktail bar called the Trophy Room. And at first, when I heard Trophy Room, I was like, interesting. Is there just gonna be a bunch of trophies around? Like, is that just what the vibe is? Like, is that the decor that we're working with? But no, they meant like animals, like hunting, like my sweet husband. And I should have known that. I should have called it. but I didn't. But it was still really cool. Like the
Yeah.
way they decorated was so cool.
You did like it. It was, I mean, it's in Phoenix, so it's hard to,
Yeah.
they're not going to make something that's bad.
Well, oh, I forgot the most important part. Phones are not allowed. I was slightly disappointed that I couldn't bring my camera in just because it was so pretty and I wanted to take a photo, but they said no cameras. So, but that part was so cool. Like, I loved that part.
I liked it because, there was like two or three times where I was like, oh, let me just,
Oh,
and then I
yeah.
was like, I can't look up my phone, whatever. So it forces you, there's no distractions of, let me just look something up real quick, whatever. It's like, nope, no phones, just you,
Yeah.
just the two of you, which is really nice. I like that.
I think we should make that a rule for like, I don't know,
Just in general.
every now and then. Yeah. Of like no phones. Cause sometimes we'll do that and it's like, oh, let's just look it up really quick.
Well, I
But like,
mean, how easy you
no.
could just leave the phones in the car
Yeah. I want
when you
to.
go into a restaurant, bar, whatever, and
Yeah.
then there's no like temptation.
No temptation. But then there's no photos. And as a photo loving person,
Well, just then you take your camera everywhere else,
that's true.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
or just buy like a
A
a flip
Kodak.
a flip flip phone,
Oh, a Razor. You know, they're trying to bring those
a
back.
Palm Pilot.
They're trying to bring flip phones back. Did you know
I
that?
did see that. Yeah.
Are you going to get one?
Now,
No, me neither.
they did. I did watch this. Actually, it's really random.
No, I like the random. Throw it in there.
It was, well, I think it was a study where they were trying to see the differences between iPhone users and Android users.
Yeah.
And I think they found that, iPhone users are more extroverted, where Android users are more introverted.
How did they
But
find that?
they did find that like the number of text messages, the time on the phone, browsing, whatever else between iPhone users is dramatically higher. And then this is where, because we have iPhones, I'd say most people have iPhones, but then they kept going into the study and it was something like, and granted, this is all social media things that I've seen. So is it actually who was the one doing the study, whatever else? No idea.
But why? Because Androids have all the same apps. Like you can still go on.
What they just found was they were saying like it was a personality difference. And then they went into
Uh,
saying that like Android users are actually more productive with their time. They have a higher IQ and they make
I beg to
and
differ.
they have a higher earning.
I beg to differ. They have a higher IQ
I'm just telling
with the
you.
green text message.
I'm just
No,
telling you what it was, and
that ain't right.
it's
That
just
study was done by an Android user.
it was just fishing to get people. You know what I mean? Everybody is super passionate about one or the other. So
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of fishing, Taylor almost got caught by a fishing scam this morning,
yeah, but I stopped that.
but thankfully.
Mm.
Do you remember that one time that you stayed on the phone with that one fishing scam and you were like, no, I think he's legit? And he was literally from Puerto Rico talking about, I don't even remember what. It was like, you don't
Uh,
remember that? And I
no.
called Mark. My cousin is a police officer. And I called him and I said, hey, seems a little
Oh,
fishy. And he was like, yeah, hang up right now.
that was the person that was talking about you with the liability thing or something, right?
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
you're. He wasn't Puerto Rican or anything. It was
He
like,
was literally calling from another country. Yeah.
no, he was
Yeah.
acting like he was a local police.
Oh, yeah. He was a police officer.
Yeah, he was. He said he was a local police officer and had a
Yeah.
couple questions regarding an investigation.
That I had nothing to do with. And you wanted to keep talking to him.
Well, yeah, because I'm curious. What's he gonna? You were like, oh, he's gonna get all this information. Not if I don't tell him.
Yeah. But
What's your
he
social security number?
just,
I'm not gonna tell you. Why do you
just
need to know?
Just as you are a sweet talker, you fall to the sweet talking.
Yeah, I'll sweet talk him back too. You can play at this game.
I beg to differ
Yeah.
again.
You know what? And then I'll just waste, they're wasting my time. I'm going to waste their time.
That's true. Yeah, that could be a fun game every now and then, but I don't have that kind of time. Who has that kind of time?
Sometimes it can be fun.
All that to say, the theme of the intro of the episode is be careful out there, kids.
Watch yourself.
Watch yourself. But yeah, anyways, our the trophy room, and then we went to a dinner place right down the street, and I had the best pork of my life. There he is yawning. It's the beginning of the episode. It's a ritual. Who knew that pork could be so good? But like I died and went to heaven for that dinner. It was so fun. No phones, great bar, amazing dinner, felt like we were on vacation. And then we drove 30 minutes, came home, had a creamy, watched Love Island, and went to bed. It was so good.
I know exactly what you want
Yeah.
for your anniversary.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, what was your peak?
what did I tell you my peak was?
You didn't.
No, we did the other day.
We did?
We did the
Oh,
marriage
we
journal.
did. You're right. You liked your flight. You said that Pappy
Oh
was a
yeah,
bro.
the guy I
Pappy?
fly with. Yeah,
Poppy?
yeah, the guy I flew with. It was fun. It was a chill flight. What?
Crickets. That's all we get.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was good. What was your peak? I had a fun flight. We ripped around low level in the F-35. It was right at sunset in the Arizona over the desert. It was really cool.
Sweet. Okay. Well, anyway.
Sweet.
Do
Cool story, bro.
you still use that word?
No, bad. That's what it sounded like.
It is what
What?
that sounded
Do I
like.
use the word sweet?
I feel like you do.
Yeah.
I don't.
Sweet.
No. No,
Good.
that's why I said it, because it was supposed to be like sarcasm.
Sarcastic. Sarcastic.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
caught that?
I very much so.
Okay.
That's why I was like, cool story, bro.
Oh, goodness. Anyways, so the topic of the day is I've been thinking about how, like, the more that we live this military lifestyle, the more that we learn, and the more I feel like it has like really improved our life. And I was just trying to think back of like, what are the things that we've really taken from the past and applied to now so that it is better? And like, let's be real, is it better all around? No, we're not perfect, we're not
Some
great.
parts yes, some parts no.
We forget about things that we should be doing now, and
Yeah.
it's not perfect, but I just wanted to go like back and think about the things that we learned at each base and how we helped each move kind of be better with those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any like, I'll just let you start.
Well, what?
I was gonna say, is there like a outline format of like you what you want me to follow as far as like
We're just going to go base by base.
base by base? Okay.
Yeah. Because it's also not just like stuff necessarily from like the military that has improved it, but like things we learned at each base.
Yeah.
So, I guess just for example, so the first base that I lived at with you, am I boring you?
I just woke
Was,
up
yeah,
because
okay.
it's late.
Yeah,
Late nights for me.
it's a night week. Anyways, the first base that we lived at together was in New Mexico. So that only lasted like 9 months, 10 months, really.
11 months.
It was February to like the beginning of November. That's 10.
I was just teasing. Even like
Oh.
9, 10. Can I
Oh.
get an 11? Maybe a 12.
Oh, you're being an asshole. Oh. Um uh so I feel like honestly there I learned a lot in retrospect. Like maybe didn't register it in the beginning, but at that base, since it is like it's a training base, so it's short, you're not there for very long, and people are really in and out.
Well, that was just us.
Yeah. Well, at that time in life.
Yeah.
Well, not just us, everyone who was in that,
In
everyone
B
who's
course,
in B course.
but if you're an IP, if you're
I know.
working
I'm
anywhere
I'm
else,
talking as a B courser.
okay. Sorry, I'll stop.
No, it's fine. You're right. You're right. Important details. There was a lot of lessons, what I was trying to say, that we didn't realize we learned until we left. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
Like, for example, we learned a lot about being married.
yeah, what things work and which things don't work,
Mm-hmm.
how you're supposed to behave, how you're not
How
supposed to behave.
how to how to communicate with each other
I think
effectively.
right away I can think of one story
Yeah. Okay.
for sure, which
I got a
is
few. I don't know which one you're talking about.
this is the I need to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, all right.
Sweet. See you later.
Yeah, sweet. See ya. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
turns out when you're not feeling great as the husband, that's not what you should say. But to my own defense, I also dislike hospitals.
I
Um,
don't really think anyone loves to go to a hospital.
yeah, I mean, I drove you there, and I was
You
like,
didn't. I drove myself. You didn't drive me
"You
there.
sure
You
about
went to
that?"
the gym. Yes, 100%.
Okay, well, yeah, then there you go. I knew whatever I did was not the right answer, and it turns out
Yeah.
not caring enough to even drop you off.
I don't think it was that you didn't care. You didn't know. Like you were just so stuck in living by yourself that
Yeah,
you
I
weren't
was just
used to
like,
you were used to being a roommate because if that had been one of your old roommates, you would have been like, "All right, good luck. Let me know if you need help."
yeah.
And then just done
And
your
then,
own
like,
thing.
I've got my schedule going on, so I'm gonna knock out my
Mhm.
stuff, and like, if you need me, let me know. Otherwise, like, yeah, we're two people. We can knock things out. We can, you know what I
Yeah, but
mean?
that's not how a marriage works.
There's
And
no mutual support.
yeah, and team effort, really.
Same thing as mutual support, right?
No.
Synonymous.
I would say no, but okay. You're feisty
I'm
today.
not.
Whoa. Um yeah, so I think that we learned a lot about like, oh, okay, you know, we need to put a lot more effort into
Yeah.
our relationship at that point. And I also learned a very large lesson that I think every new military spouse learns early on, and that is that when he says, "I'll be home at 5," no, he won't. No, he won't. No, he won't. Maybe 1 out of 10 times. Honestly, it's gotten better, but at that point in life,
Yeah, it was just tough for me. I didn't understand. Like, I wanted to be home at 5. It wasn't that I was making like times up to make you feel
well,
good,
well, that
but then
wasn't.
it's just like things just got out of,
And I didn't care about the time either. I was just trying to like have dinner ready or
yeah,
like be prepared to be together at that point. And then when like dinner would be ready and you're still not home, it's like, ugh.
frustrating for you. Yeah.
But it's also a major lesson in this lifestyle of
You got to
you
be,
gotta roll with the punches.
yeah,
And if he's not home and dinner's ready, I'm gonna eat it hot on the couch in front of the TV and he can put it in the microwave when he comes home,
yeah.
you know?
So, yeah, I would argue and say most of the time, well, pretty much every time, like there's no intentional, like if I say was going to be home at 5, like my intention was to be home at 5. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's not like, I just didn't think it was important to be back. It
Yeah.
was just like
Yeah.
something else came up.
Well, back to the last point of like learning that we're not just roommates was you learning that like, oh, if it comes to be a certain time, like I need to step out and text her that I'm not going to be home at this
Oh
time.
yeah, I did.
And then,
I was in my brain. It was just like, yeah, like I told her I'll try to be there at whatever time.
right.
Like it wasn't a priority of mine to keep you posted
Yeah.
with what was going on.
Yeah. And um
These early days, it was a lot of stuff I did, huh?
no, because like I probably also should have been like, we're married, you're taking me to the hospital. This is stupid.
Yeah.
And
Tell me,
also
tell me how you feel.
but that was also like that whole timing lesson is like just a small example of how that principle applies in many different ways.
I said, I still think it's the easiest way for us to remember it was you take two, because you were very independent at that time as well. Like you
Mhm.
take two different people with their own routines, their own habit patterns, whatever else, and then you immediately just put them in a house together and say, figure it out. It's not it like it takes time for people to adjust their habit patterns, their routines, their to like how do we make this to work together?
Mhm.
And guess what? There's going to have to be compromise on both parties,
Yeah.
and new routines are going to have to be made, old ones broken. And I mean, it takes years to really mesh and feel good,
Mhm.
which it did for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So it takes a while, but if you're willing to work at it, it's really nice.
I
You
also
figure out what works.
yeah, yeah. That was kind of just the foundation of us like dipping our toes into like figuring out
Yeah.
what is going to work. What?
I'm just remembering also, like, we were at a party,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were playing like me
Yep.
and a buddy were playing beer pong. Like, oh, we'll play the wives. Like, this will be fun.
I feel like
And
we've told this story
I
before.
don't know, maybe I'm sure we have,
Yeah.
but you just have competitive nature, and it turns out like being hyper competitive with your spouse
Spouse
is maybe
is
not the
not
answer.
good.
You said
We
I
were
threw
playing,
the ball at
you
you.
did.
I
No,
don't
we
buy
were
it.
playing beer pong. It was me and my friend against her husband and Tyler. And we were both like, okay, everyone's gone. It's time to leave. We're going to go now. And you both were like, no, no, we haven't won yet. No. And then you literally like just throw it like we're playing now. And I was like, oh, my word.
It was
Okay.
the way you describe it makes me feel like it was a temper tantrum.
It was. It was.
There's like, you're
It
not my
was.
mom.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was. Yep. I feel like we could go into that in many different ways because it was kind of you figuring out that, like, I'm not your mom. I'm just like, it's time to go. Everyone else has left the party. We should also leave the party now.
If you're the life of the party, then
Oh,
it's
God.
still going.
Anyways, moving on. I think another really great lesson that I learned in New Mexico was we had the best people there. Like that base was full of really, really awesome, like kind people. And like twofold was number one, to appreciate that. And when you have that, like invest more time with them. I wish that I because we even did girls' nights literally once a week and then we hung out with friends on the weekends, but I wish I did more because we just really clicked with a lot of people there. Um,
I would say you were even pretty active. Like when you were working,
mhm.
you would go to coffee shops, whatever, with different girls, different times of the week. And
Yeah. Just like valuing when you are blessed with a scenario like that, because it's not necessarily always going to be that way. And also, there was like one of our good friends there. She was just known for like, she invited everyone to everything. It was never too big. Everyone's always invited. And I think that's also just a really cool number one person to be around and reminder of like, I also want to be that person. And I haven't always been great at that. And it's something I want to do now, you know?
yeah,
But
we can make the change.
yeah,
What's
be the
that?
change you want to see in the world.
Is that like a Michael Jackson song?
I don't think
There's
so.
a Michael Jackson song that's about that.
Yeah, no. Do you have anything else from that time that you,
From Holloman?
that like you like wanted to take forward or you think helped afterward?
Um, I think the biggest lesson learned for me there was not necessarily work related, but more relationship related. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just, that was year one,
Mm-hmm.
year 10 months of us living together. And it was learning how to balance work in your relationship and your friends,
Mm-hmm.
of just, being a single guy in the sense of living single, and then not having your significant other live with you. How does life change when that
Mm-hmm.
happens? And I mean, we were only what, 24 at that time,
23.
23.
24?
Oh, we were like 23,
24.
24,
Yeah.
yeah, which is still like
It's pretty
pretty
young.
young, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of change, and it was a lot of learning.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that was like my biggest lesson learned was just how to work my relationship with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just thought of like one more thing too. That was my first experience of like being around a lot of military people at one time. And in the beginning, that was extremely intimidating to me.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And looking back, like I totally see why it was so intimidating, but I wish it wasn't as intimidating to
Yeah.
me because
What would you have done differently back then that you didn't do to
um
like make it not so intimidating?
try to not need you everywhere we went, like whenever we met new people and
Uh,
stuff. I'm still,
I think that's even applicable today.
yeah, it is.
But that's more of a personality.
It is a personality trait, but when you're like having that personality and then being in a really intimidating situation, they don't go very well together. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm still learning how to do that. I think I've gotten a lot better, but back then it was like really bad. If I didn't have a girlfriend there also, I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And you had to learn how to like bring me into
Yeah.
situations.
Because I was the opposite. I was,
Mm-hmm.
talk to anybody, complete strangers, and talk to them for 5 hours. And my brain was like, you don't like doing that? And you're
Yeah.
like, no, I actually hate
Well,
this.
that's something I've talked with a lot of girls actually on Instagram about is just like they'll say something about when they first moved with their person to the base or um, kind of like the beginnings of military relationship. I always called it like your officer hat, and now it's not an officer hat, it's a military hat. You kind of have like a different demeanor about you, and you say that you don't, but you really do in some ways, and I think it's just your way of being professional. But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, he's like not gonna help me because he's like doing his own thing right now.
Well, I feel like
But that's not a you thing. That's
yeah,
something that everyone relates on. Like
yeah.
because you're used to that. So we have to learn how to like
I feel like sometimes you guys think it's just like, hey, we're going to the grocery store and you're in uniform. Like, I want you to pick me up, make out with me on the hood of
that's
the
not at
car.
all.
And
It's
it's
just
like,
that
no, I can't do
in
that.
our normal life, you walk at a snail speed. Some might say backwards, you're so slow. But when you have a uniform on, you're running. I can't walk as fast as you. I'm behind you. I'm in your trail. So we've had to learn to be like, hey, how about we walk together?
I just, that's something I still don't see. Years later, I think I would be able to recognize the speed at which I walk. Agree to disagree.
The point is just the
Yeah.
military hat, and that if you feel this, I feel you, and your significant other might say like him that you're,
Crazy.
yeah, you're not. You're not. Okay. Okay. Anything else before we move on to the Italia?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Do you have one from when we lived in Italy? I have one.
Go.
I think the biggest one for us that we learned there was the value of new experiences and just making them happen. Like when we lived in New Mexico, there were so many things around us that we could have gone to see, but they were sort of a far car ride. And we were like, ugh, not worth it. Like, let's not do it. And then we moved to Italy and no car ride was too long. No, 4 hours one way on the weekend. Sure, we're doing
Yeah.
it. And I really want to bring that back to our life here, especially just going forward with a family and with kids. Like, I want to show them how full life can be, you know?
We really haven't done it much
We
since
haven't,
we've gotten back to the
no.
States.
But to be honest, in ways we have. We went to Las Vegas for a weekend. We've had a couple staycations. Like we drove the long way here so we could go to Sedona. Like we've done it we haven't been here that long.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem
We don't
like
do it as much as we did,
the
but that's
frequency.
also
Yeah.
not what we want at this phase in life.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just never do it, is my point.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think, yeah, we did a really good job of seizing the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and just doing whatever we could. Um, I like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I think for me, something was that it took me, and then this one goes now more towards just me and the job with the
Mm-hmm.
military,
Yeah.
is you want to be the best, and sometimes being the best, I'd be like, oh, that means I need to put in a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that work balance, it would be working 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours consistently every day. It was, there's always something that needed to be done. And I really took pride in not only trying to be good at like flying, but also the other job I had. And it was just like doing anything and everything to be the guy that just like works hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time and people sitting me down for some discussions of like, I get you like you're it's recognized you're working hard and like that's not why you're doing it, but it's like you working 12 hours consistently, like it's recognized you're a hard worker. If it takes you 6 hours to get something done, take the 6 hours. Like if you're just working for the sake of working, you're going to burn yourself out,
Mm-hmm.
especially for guys like us that where you have to work, or your commitment is 10 years and whatnot. Like if you just don't find that work life balance,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to hit you hard at some point. And it took me a while to figure that out.
He's still learning. Just kidding. You're really good at it now. But
I'd like to.
he learned it like yesterday. So
I would say, I mean, it takes a while, but I think, and it's constantly learning how you can get better.
yeah,
Um,
that was
I
a
mean,
really good lesson
there
though.
are times you need to. It is going to be a 10-hour, 12-hour day, but
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's like when those days happen, like take advantage of the other days
Yeah.
where you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so it took me a while to figure that out, and it sucks because it's like, granted, I think I get enjoyment out of working. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be able to keep doing it. But it's like it's recognizable when it like causes things to suffer. Wasn't spending as much time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, wasn't spending as much time with friends.
Yeah.
Um, less experiences, less time for us to do experiences, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so there were, you know, effects of me staying at work long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
was
think
a good lesson learned for me.
a huge one for me in Italy too was learning how to handle long distance better, because even though our relationship was 100% long distance basically until we were married, it was just different because I wasn't used to life with you yet. And then by the time we got to Italy, like my normal was with you. So, what?
The other big thing is you had your life and your
Yeah.
job and like everything around you. So we were doing distance, but it's like you were
My
doing
life
you.
didn't change. Like
Yeah,
I
your life
was,
didn't change.
yeah.
And then we upped and moved to Italy, and you're like, I
Well,
don't,
now what?
I don't know anybody. I don't have friends, family. I'm just moved here. Like
I had a couple friends.
you are the one person I know, like
Yeah.
moving there.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, like I'm gonna go to work for 12 hours, see
Yeah.
you when I come back.
Or a month, you know?
Or if we would go TDY, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a huge lesson for me of learning how to do that. And to be honest, looking back, I'm kind of proud of myself for going into it just right out of the beginning. I always thought like, how am I going to make the most of this? Is like, is there something that I've been wanting to do that I haven't done yet that I can do while he's gone? Like, is there something I can do on the house? Is there a little trip I can do with my friends? Is day trips, whatever. I was just constantly looking for things to look forward to and
Mm-hmm.
make the most of it, instead of just sit and be like, oh, like kind of making the time go by really slow. So, to be honest, I feel like I mastered time alone to the point where I kind of liked it when he left sometimes. Obviously, I didn't like
The
being
truth comes
apart,
out.
but I liked my routine when you were gone. Like it's
You
not that
still like
I
that.
yeah, I do. And you do too, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't miss each other. It's like after one day the novelty's gone, but
Sometimes don't, if my day isn't like a wake up and go straight into work, you'll be like, you
time
got
for
to
you to
leave.
go.
It's like, I'm sorry, babe. I love you, but it's
Yeah.
whatever time I'm sitting there quiet and you're like, you're distracting me.
Well, because you're listening to your show and you're chomping like you're an ape and
I'll put my AirPods
no,
in
I'm kidding.
and
I'm
you're just
kidding.
like, I can hear his feet shuffling on the ground and I can't focus. I can't work in this atmosphere.
All that to say, I think I did pretty good at learning how to deal with the long distance. And we've done a few episodes about that. So if
Yeah,
you
we have.
are struggling with that, just search it. And there's a few for you. But yeah, I think that's where I really learned how to do all of that. And one other huge, I guess I have two other things that I really learned in Italy was Aviano was our first exposure to you being up for deployment. And that affected me in ways I didn't know that it would. And at the end of the day, you never really got deployed. But my view of the news completely changed. And like, I no longer had an ability to look at foreign affairs and not put you into the situation. So I think that was a big lesson for me of like
Yeah.
setting boundaries, especially at that time of like when I would go home and the news is on, like, you guys don't understand how this is bothering me. Like, can you please just not listen to it? Or I need to leave and like not be there. Or, you know, on my phone, if something comes up, I mute it, I swipe right by it. So I think a huge thing that I learned at that time was just boundaries with your own mental state and knowing how much you can handle and what helps you, because for some people they need to know everything. I prefer to know nothing unless it comes from you, but because people have
Yeah.
all of their theories like, oh, China's doing this, China's doing that, how's that going to affect the guys? I don't want to think about that
You're just more of a ignorance is bliss
until I need to know. Yeah.
until you need to know, where it's valid at some point, but I also think part of it is acceptance of like it is. You know what I mean? Like it's a fine balance. And I'm not
No,
telling you,
no, because I think that's how you deal with it. And like with those things, like
but I just think it's unhealthy as a spouse to be like, my husband's not going to be deployed. It's never going to happen to me. I can't accept this.
that's
If
not
this happens,
that
I'm going
is
to lose
not
my
at
mind.
all how I thought. The point is I knew you were going to be deployed and I knew you could be involved in all of that stuff. And if something in the world was happening, I would be like, okay, that just happened. I can't read deeper because there are so many journalists who want you to think the worst of it. And I'm going to think the worst of it. So I'll read the headline, I'll know what's going on, and I'm not going to look at it again.
It's like your WebMD. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I have a headache. You're dying.
That's not fair. Anyway, and full switch gears, we really learned how to travel really well and maximize a dollar and a point.
Yeah, we did. I think not only just how to financially travel, but I think just like the best way to optimize your travel,
Yeah.
which we've talked about as well with on previous episodes
Yeah.
of using honestly Google
Mm-hmm.
Maps lists to help you out and figure out like what is the best way to optimize what I'm doing in one day. And it's
Mm-hmm.
more of just like geographic, what's all around each other instead of finding, oh, I have 2 days. And then you don't plan your trip. And now you're spending all your time on a subway, on a bus, on a train. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That and learning how to like get the most out of hotels and
Yeah.
credit card points and all of that. We have done a few episodes on that too, but we've taken that here too. Like that, so much of the travel we've done this year, I would say, has been paid for 80% by points.
Yeah.
So otherwise,
Which,
we won't be
yeah.
doing any of it. Anything else?
Um, I did have something.
Oh, sorry.
Uh, you keep talking for, I'll think of it in less than 60 seconds.
Um, well, anywho, it was my value of the week, but I have a,
Got it.
there we
Light bulb.
go.
Uh, I think mine is opening up to, I think we were both very good at it to
Hmm.
start with. You definitely growing up traveled a lot more than I did. But I think having an open mind and perspective to change in different cultures really changed my just entire worldview.
Yeah.
And I thought I was pretty good at it before. I mean, I definitely traveled abroad, um, but living there and just diving all in because when we first moved there, I was like, I miss my truck, uh,
Fishing.
fishing. Like I was just like very stubborn enough. Like all the things that I really enjoyed to do or enjoyed doing, I couldn't necessarily do at that time.
Hmm.
And for the first couple months, I was like not upset about it, but I kept thinking about it and would bring it up, whatever. And then finally, I just was like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy where I'm at and what I'm doing and really open up my worldview and kind of understand what people believe, why they believe it, what are
Hmm.
different cultures like. Just really try to immerse yourself
Yeah.
um,
In a different way of life.
in a different way of life. And I think if you just like make that switch if
Mm-hmm.
you're abroad and actually fully dive in, that it's extremely fulfilling
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt like in Europe specifically, we did that to the point where people were thinking we were European,
Mm-hmm.
just even by the way we were dressing and behaving.
Oh yeah.
And then they would talk to us and we're like, no, we're American. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We would say our one line in another language and be like, that's all I got.
That's
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's a good one.
I
I feel
think
like
that
that
was
was a big
a
one.
good
Yeah.
a good way to practice that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What about Korea? What were your big lessons learned there?
Hmm. My big, I feel like, I don't know, because Korea is where I applied a lot of my old lessons.
Excuse me.
Like, one of the lessons in Italy, I think, was just how I learned that, like, I just want to be myself going forward. And, like, if people don't like it, that's fine. He keeps yawning. That's why I'm laughing. And I really applied that in Korea. And I am really grateful that I did because I didn't change who I was to make other people like me. You know, I just went in there being my best self and I tried to make friends as well as I could. And I think it really worked out for me. And I met really awesome friends there. And the fact is, every time I was there was pretty much essentially almost a whole new group of people that were there. And so I made new friends every time I went there. But I have really deep friendships with those people that, you know, they may have only lasted 6 weeks or something, but I still talk to them all the time and they're still really good friends. So
Yeah.
I think that was where I applied a lot of my lessons. So that was a big one for me. That was even more where I learned a lot more about culture and diving deep into someone else's culture because that culture was so different from anything that we'd experienced before. Um, okay, I'm going to pause because I could keep rambling, but what's one that you did?
Um, an easy one for me is and taking the conscious lesson learned from Italy. I even
Mm-hmm.
told you this before we moved there.
Yeah.
I said, in at Aviano, I did a very good, what I thought was a very good job of prioritizing the
Yeah.
work and the flying. And I told myself though, I felt disappointed in myself that I didn't invest more time and effort into the people
Yeah.
that were around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make it a point to prioritize the people around me
Yeah.
and not necessarily the job. And I'd like to think over the 14 months there that I know I did much better with the people,
Mm-hmm.
of like really getting to know and invest in them. But I felt like I also was able to get in a groove where I was able to knock out both,
Yeah.
like be good at the job, at the flying, at the people, and just kind of be running at optimum efficiency.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure there's people that would disagree and be like, "No, you were kind of awful."
I don't think so. I disagree with that.
I don't know. The sweep was fun.
Yes, I don't, no one said that.
Shout out to Birch for making a good farewell video.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Korea was a lot of like work hard, play hard. That was just a good um example of that. And again, like you applying the lesson maybe like people work so hard there, but also the reason that it's so fun is because the play hard is like a huge aspect of being there and that's what
Hmm.
makes it fun. And it's just a good lesson of like you can kind of have both. Um yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
It was like the best worst
Yeah.
14 months.
Yeah.
It was just I mean it's like the military where they're like embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Like life, if you wanted to put on that negative Nancy, you could be like, oh man, like this is terrible because of,
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z. But I felt like honestly a lot of people there,
Mhm.
um, you want to talk about being a positive poly or
Oh yeah.
glass half full, there are plenty of people. I think Kunsan honestly is a good representation of people that you could definitely make it a bad place, but at least when we were there and the people we were around,
It
I
was
would
awesome.
say mostly thought of it in a good
And
way.
all you need is one person. You just need one person to start that, and it can really
Yeah.
like change things around, you
And I
know?
think people leave, especially the punks.
Yeah.
They leave and they're like, now they're seeing the rest of the Air Force and being like, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah. I don't know.
What other big lessons do you think you have?
Well, I don't know. I think I also learned that it wasn't necessarily like the base that taught me, it was just like the time in life. It just taught me that like
Oh, babe, you don't need to if you don't want.
I just feel like I should though. Will you say something?
About that,
No,
or just in general?
I don't know.
I don't think you need to. Or and if you do, make it short, sweet, and to the point, and we'll move on from it. No, love you.
I love you too.
I mean, it was some tough lessons learned. I don't really think I needed to learn a lesson,
I don't
and neither
either.
did you. But
Well, to be honest, like I kind of did. Like I think before all of that happened, like I was always jealous of people who were like, I just want to be a mom. That's all I want. Like I never felt that way.
yeah,
And I think that going through all of that taught me that like that is what I want. And
yeah,
I think I would be a really good mom. And I do that is all I want right now.
yeah.
You know.
And it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It is. I know it. I know it. You know it. It's just taking a little bit of time, a couple hurdles, and we'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
No lipstick.
Sorry. But yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
Where were we? Um. Okay, I see. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Korea gave us a tough life lesson.
Hmm.
Probably our biggest challenge. Definitely our biggest challenge we've had yet as a couple.
Yeah.
Um, and we've learned a lot from it. We're still learning,
Hmm.
still questioning, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And for us, the way we're coping, we're praying, relying on family, friends,
Yeah.
internet searches.
Hmm. Well, it's also
Um,
just a good lesson, and I feel like we knew this, but like didn't feel what it felt like on the other side of just to be careful with how you talk about kids and like don't talk about how they're a burden because some people really want that and you just don't know what's happening with
yeah,
them,
yeah.
you know?
I think it's just being aware of your surroundings and
Yeah.
you know what's important in life to other people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can't. It's different for everybody,
Hmm.
and it's just being willing to put yourself in their shoes and understand why something's important.
Yeah.
I guess. Big picture. We're talking macro.
All right. Anyways, do you have any lessons from being here yet? Or do you have anything else from Korea?
Um, no, I feel like I've hit everything in Korea. It was a lot of fun. Be goofy, be wild,
Be
um,
yourself.
be yourself, live, laugh, love, pray. Um, and I think for Phoenix, this has probably been the biggest lesson. Not really a lesson. I feel like I've learned it at this point, and now it's just the application of it,
Hmm.
where I find myself in a position with work where I right now I don't need to be putting in. I don't want to say as much time and effort because that's not true. It's just being you're being
Balance.
efficient. This is where the efficiency is. Where but it's like don't feel guilty for not spending a lot of time at work, and if you have the ability not to, then don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Invested in your family or friends or
yeah, it's not like I'm
yourself.
spending the time sitting on the couch watching TV. It's like I'm doing stuff with you. I'm exercising. You're just investing your time differently, and it's been really nice since being out here of
Yeah.
really being able to change up that time allocation of what I'm doing and when.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's just been a nice change of pace
Yeah.
being out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like my biggest one is just to just like if things are slow, just let it be slow.
Yeah.
Like enjoy it.
It doesn't need to be,
Go, go,
yeah,
go.
yeah, full
Yeah.
throttle.
Yeah, for sure. And not everything happens the way you want it to.
Yeah. Be willing to make changes, i.e., the house.
Yeah.
If we need to change the house around, like we're not going to necessarily pick the perfect thing the first time,
But I'm gonna try.
but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And, it's not the end of the world if you need to change something. At the end of the day, it's like nothing we're doing is permanent
Yeah.
and it can always be changed,
You can
fixed.
always, yeah, things can always be fixed and changed.
I know we're talking very specific to the house right now,
Yeah.
but that's all right. It's kind of where we're at.
Yep. All right. What?
Nothing.
Value of the week.
You go first.
Okay, mine I think is one that like literally no one is gonna take, but I'm gonna give it anyway. I just read I'm almost done with the book. It's called "I Will Teach You to Be Rich" by Ramit Sethi, I think is how you say it. And not everything in there was something I didn't already know, but he applied it in a way that made me be like, oh, that's so smart and that's so easy, that's so efficient. Basically just like maximizing your own money and how to invest in the best way possible, and I've really liked it. So
You
if
have
you
like
enjoy reading about personal finance
you have really enjoyed it, and I've been learning as well
through my text messages
through
in
the
the
questions.
morning.
What are we doing with X, Y, and Z? When did we do this?
Give me the passport.
Yeah, give me the usernames and passwords. You've
Yeah.
had them.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I need them. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think mine is probably maybe I'm just the odd person out, but I've when we were talking, have I ever had like a full blood lab test work,
Yeah.
that kind of thing? And I don't know if most people do. I go in and they say, how are you feeling? I go, feeling 100% doc, feeling like exceptionally healthy
Yeah.
this year. And they're like, okay, great, no questions. Um, but then with the things going on, I finally was like, you know what, let's see what's actually happening, and went in for a blood lab to get see what the numbers are across the board. And I think that might be my
Yeah.
advice. What was the advice of the week?
Value of the
Value of the
week.
week is like just go get tested and figure it out like where your levels are, and then
Advocate for yourself. If they tell you that you don't need blood work and you haven't had it in years, you do, and you should know.
yeah, it's just I was curious. I was like,
Yeah.
let's figure this out, and
How's the blood sugar doing? She ain't great.
it's a
No,
normal range.
it's literally the top number of normal. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's normal.
it is normal. You're right.
I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Sue me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is
Yeah.
yeah, like make sure you're doing all right. We're getting old over here.
I mean, yeah, just it doesn't hurt to take a look, especially if it's been a while.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
that was mine.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're welcome.
for adding a little pizzazz, some attitude, some assholiness to this episode.
Yeah, you look much more put together than I do. I'm literally woke up and tossed on a shirt and a hat and said, let's do it.
He
Knock it out.
rolled out of bed to join us, and I appreciate that.
It's pretty great.
uh,
And now we got to hit the gym and then eventually go to work.
yeah, you got to get out of here because
I'm eating into
distracting me.
yeah, I'm eating into the time.
All right.
Distracting.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Love you so much. See you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.